How's everyone doing today? Hope you're doing well. Um, I find myself in a area of the world that a lot of people don't go to, kind of in a miserable, shitty situation. Dealing with a local workforce that's neither trained nor educated enough to understand some of the stuff that they're doing is so dangerous. And it's a region of the world where I cannot speak the language, but I understand enough to know that they're referring to me as the dumb ogre, which is annoying me to no end, mainly because they're getting annoyed at me that I'm preventing themselves from blowing us all up. But I'm just the asshole Westerner kind of thing. So I got home, or I shouldn't say got home. I got back to my hotel room, and I'm pretty flippin' miserable. Um, I kind of want to talk to my wife and my kid, but I'm kind of too amped up to do that. Um, I, you know, I'm a big believer in the very important concept of don't bring your work home, don't bring your home to work kind of thing. And I don't like talking to my wife or my kid when I'm, I don't know, I don't want to say amped up, but like just straight up pissed off kind of thing. They don't deserve to hear that kind of thing. Like, I always try to like let all the tension and everything go out of me before I talk to them. But what's irritating is there is no gym at the hotel for me to go to. And I'm in a region of the world where if a Caucasian started jogging down the street pretty rapidly, I would get kidnapped by one of maybe 4 or 5 different insurgent groups that would gleefully cut my head off while I'm screaming and post it on like the dark web or whatever. But honestly, it would probably end up on Twitter at this point. So, needless to say, I'm in a foul mood. I'm miserable. My back is bothering me. My hips bother me. I feel like I'm going to be stuck in this shithole for long periods of time. There is no way I could possibly improve my mood. And then I opened up Twitter and I just did a search for Patrick and scrolled through his Twitter feed. And God bless this man. God bless this man. He doesn't do it on purpose, but this tweet thread by himself is the greatest thing that I think I've ever read in a long ass time. If you tried to call or text me in the last 8 days, I didn't get it because my Samsung Galaxy Fold 3 IPX8 rated for 30 minutes and 5 feet of fresh water flooded out in less than a minute and 2 feet. Even after drying for days, it won't cycle or even charge. I love that tweet. This is a man who is a self-proclaimed published author. Try to spot how many commas he's missing in that tweet. I realize it's a tweet. You really shouldn't give that much of a shit. But this is a guy who cannot stop flexing that he is a published author. Very quickly, because I work on medium voltage equipment, industrial equipment, and so on, I'm an electrical engineer, mechanical engineer. I have multiple engineering disciplines. I have a BS in mechanical engineering, an MS in electrical engineering, and another MS in power systems electronics, which doesn't make much sense unless you speak French, because that's where I got it. I got it in France. But I have multiple engineering disciplines, and I provide, well, the company I work for builds these large medium voltage drives and these large medium voltage motors, and they go all over the world. They get installed all over the place, paper mills, steel mills, oil and gas facilities, all kinds of places. And my job is to commission that shit. And we have to deal with IP codes all the time. And an IP code of X8 is a bullshit IP code. It's something that cell phone companies do now. It's very, very funny to me. Real quick, I have to do this because I'm a pedantic asshole engineer. A true IP code has 2 numbers to it. It doesn't have a letter like an X. It has 2 numbers. The first number indicates how well protected a device is or a piece of equipment is from the ingress of solid materials. So, for example, I'm trying to pull this off the top of my head. It's been a while, not been a while since I looked at it, but I'm kind of tired. I want to say if the first digit was like say a 5, it would be less than a millimeter in size. You know, anything less than a millimeter could get inside of the machine, but less than or greater than a millimeter could not get in or out of it. If it's like a 6, it's dust proof. I routinely have to work with stuff that's like the number 8. And this is explosive proof equipment. Like if you go to Texas or Louisiana and so on in the US, where there's a lot of oil and gas facilities, a lot of chemical plants, that medium voltage equipment will actually be dust proof. And then on top of this, it will have a positive air pressure. So there's physically no way anything from outside could get inside of this piece of equipment if it's running correctly, because we have to deal with all different kinds of zones and groups and what I'm referencing is like hazardous gases and so on, explosive environments. The fact that cell phone companies now put a little X there is basically indicating that they don't guarantee anything in the way of solids, which technically water is a solid. The second digit references your level of water contamination protection. So, for example, a 5, I want to say is 6 is a heavy C's and so on. And it's referencing a series of tests they have to do with like spraying water on the device and so on. But again, the big thing is if you don't have 2 numbers to it, it doesn't mean anything. This is the way cell phone companies are trying to say like, oh yeah, we have an IP rating, but they're not giving you a true IP rating. So it's all just bullshit. It's total bullshit. And it's total, like, they explain it out to you when you go to buy the thing in the user manual. They basically tell you, don't drop this in water. If you do, you better fish it out right away. Now, Patrick doesn't hint to this, and if I was a better man, I would basically say, look, Patrick probably just dropped this in a sink for like a second, and he fished it out, and it instantly bricked. I don't believe that for a second, because one of these phones, any modern phone for that matter, you drop it in water. If you drop it in a toilet and you fish it out right away, it'll survive. It might go dead immediately, but as long as you clean, like, for example, the charging port with like alcohol or something, it should be fine. Knowing Patrick, however, and I base this on the fact that this is a man who has like $40,000 in a civil case that inexplicably, rather than paying off that debt, he's allowing it to balloon and he's going to Mexico on a vacation. I have to believe that he was scuba diving or snorkeling. Actually, he wouldn't be able to scuba dive. That's too many things he has to do right without dying. I'm going to say he was probably snorkeling with his phone in his pocket, and he went to pull out his phone to record some really good underwater shots, and then he realized his phone was dead. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this. I lose it every single time. $1,800 for a cell phone. $1,800 for a cell phone. I'm not even going to shit on Pat for this. I'm going to shit on every single person that's ever spent $1,800 on a cell phone. I am required by my employment contract that I have to be available 24/7 for both customers and my employer. I have to be available. I get little or no warning when I have to go all the way to the other side of the country. The current job that I'm on, I had less than 12 hours notice. I had to pack up and leave. I have to be available. I have to be able to send documents. I have to be able to interface with industrial computers and so on using Wi-Fi through my phone. I have never once spent anything close to, again, I got to look at this number, $1,800. $1,800 flipping dollars. Anybody out there that's hearing my voice, you want to know how I buy a phone? It's 2023, right? Let's say I've decided to get a new phone for 2023. I Google best phones, smartphones of 2022. And I read through all the reviews, all the different things that they could do, make sure that they can run the programs that I need to run and so on. And then I find the cheapest one that has the functionality that I need. I'll tell you this right now. There is no markable difference between a $600 cell phone and a $1,800 cell phone that Patrick bought. There's no difference between the two in terms of performance, other than this Samsung thing is apparently a flip smartphone, which seems really stupid. There's no way Patrick would notice this. What does he use his smartphone for? Shit posting on Twitter and commenting inexplicably to people that text him. He does not need an $1,800 device. My son, who is currently 9 years old, my son understands the value of the dollar better than this 40-plus-year-old man. My son would never dream to go, hey, Pop, I want a cell phone, and I want the $1,800 one. There are two kinds of people in this world that have an $1,800 cell phone. Rappers, who within 6 months you're not going to remember who the frick they were, and they're going to be bankrupt, like T-Pain. And first-year college students, like freshmen, who for the first time ever signed up for a credit card while they were on the quad to get a free Frisbee, and they do not understand how compound interest works. Nobody on the fucking planet who makes enough money that they can afford an $1,800 cell phone. I can afford an $1,800 cell phone. I could buy one every day this week before my wife would notice. Before it would really start hitting. Actually, no, I could probably buy them for a month straight before it hit the family budget. But I think my wife would notice after a week of me buying $1,800 items 7 days in a row. And I wouldn't do it. I legitimately believe that if you can afford an $1,800 cell phone based on your income, by default, you're smart enough not to actually pay for an $1,800 cell phone. It's the dumbest thing. I would love to know what the terms were that he had to sign with Samsung. This was probably like a third. Oh my God, this was probably. It was either a 36-month loan or a 48-month loan for this cell phone. I cannot imagine what he's paying on interest and shit. Like, seriously, if you're buying a cell phone through like your cell phone plan or whatever, you're getting ripped off. You're better off just buying your own phone. You could jailbreak it yourself, do all that jazz. You're just better off. Just get a phone that's like a year later. It's so much cheaper. It's unbelievably cheaper. I am constantly, my cell phone provider is begging and pleading nonstop. Please buy a cell phone. Please get a new cell phone from us. We have no idea. Like the last cell phone you got through us was a Nokia flip phone. And said, yeah, no shit. I'll take care of that. I don't need you helping me out. Buying a cell phone through your phone plan is like going to the dealer to get an oil change. Just do it yourself, you fucking loser. That I would actually pay money to see Patrick Tomlinson try to change the oil on his 4-cylinder 10-year-old Mustang. That would be hilarious. He would probably, if he managed to get the old oil out, he would probably somehow come up with a bright idea of using the old oil, like, oh, just spread it around your garden. It keeps the weeds away. I can totally see him doing this. No, child. Electronics are clearly supposed to function underwater. Yes, child. When they are rated for exposure underwater by the manufacturer, as advertised, feature consumers use as part of the... Again, he did not read any of the paperwork that fucking phone came with. Nobody claims that something is waterproof. Northrop Grumman, when they make a nuclear submarine for the United States Navy, does not claim that fucking submarine is fucking waterproof. Nothing is waterproof. Watch manufacturers used to do this back in like, I want to say like in the 80s and shit. They kept claiming that they had watches and stuff I'm talking about switch watches, like all the fancy watch manufacturers and even the cheap ones. They used to claim watches were waterproof, and they all got class action lawsuited into oblivion for this. So no one claims anything is waterproof, especially when they're telling you, oh, hey, by the way, your IP code is IPX8. So basically, they're saying, yeah, it's really good against water, but don't have any solids in it. Guess what's inside of water? Solids. They can literally say, yeah, we detect salt on that circuit board. You allowed solid salt into the phone. So yeah, we don't care. You're not supposed to swim in the ocean with your phone, you dummy. God bless you, though, Patrick. God bless your fat, dumb, doughy face. Because you, sir, have taken away all my anger, all my aggression. Not only am I ready to call my wife and my kid and have a great conversation with them, see how they're doing. Frankly, I'm ready to start working on the site again. God bless you, sir. Everyone, please have a great night. Be safe. Take care of each other. Take care of your family. Ciao.